¿Qué pasó, mi gente? What's up, my people? We're back at it again with another video. And in this video, we're going to be tearing down the D16. As you guys know, we got to get this car together. We're going to pull the motor apart, see how it wore whenever I had it together, how it ran whenever I had tuned it, street tuned it. We're going to pull it apart, see what everything looks like. I'm going to send the block, crank, all the cam caps out to get cleaned. And then everything new will be getting measured and put on. The head we're going to take apart. I'm going to get the valves cleaned, send the head out to get to get cleaned. Put new valve stem seals in it. After the valves are clean, put those back together, put them back in the head, and the head will be ready to go. We are going to be putting a Street Savage camshaft in this car, in this motor, from Speed Factory, but right now they are all sold out, so we're actually about to buy one pre-order, and they should be here within a month, so we can have the engine in the car with the stock cam, or in the motor with the stock cam, make sure everything works as it should, and then when the cam gets here, because the engine's not going to be in the car yet, we can put the engine back on the stand, get the cam degreed where it should be, and it should be all good from there. But this video, we're going to tear this thing apart, get all the engine parts laid out, and look at everything and just see how well it wore together whenever it was in my car. So a few other things that I got delivered today. For the welder, I got these things called TIG fingers. It basically it's like a heat wrap that you can slide onto your fingers so that you don't get burnt or the heat doesn't transfer to your hand when you're welding something. I also picked up a gas lens kit from Everlast. It was a 5, 6, 7, and 8 cup. And it came with some tungsten as well, blue and gray. I think gray is pure. But it also came with the blue 2% lanthanated. And then also the TIG fingers came with a glass stubby lens, but I don't have a stubby gas lens kit. So this is what I'm working with. As you can see inside there, that's the gas lens. Came with this. So I haven't used it yet. I'm hoping that this works a lot better for my welds so they can look cleaner and just overall help me weld, because you're just as good as your equipment, so hopefully that works. All right, back to this. We're gonna get this thing tore down. It's mostly gonna be fast forwarded because I know people don't like to watch things go slow, but obviously, let's get going. Well, that's not coming off. Easy anyways. Maybe because it hasn't been off in a while. Belt still looks in good condition for the most part. Pretty clean for as hard as I beat it, you know. Pretty clean. never use these gaskets. It worked, but these are a soft, shitty material. Use the multi-layered steel gaskets. Alright, I don't remember if there's coolant in this block, which I think there might be. And I also think there also might be oil in the block. So I'm going to drain those real quick. And then we can pull the head, flip it over, pull the oil pan, and then we can pop the pistons out. Alright, now when I put this head together, it's got ARP head studs in it, which I'm pretty sure we can reuse. They're not in bad shape, so we're probably going to reuse those. I'm pretty sure they are, because they're pretty good. These are blocks, single valve springs, stock retainers, stock camshaft, and I think I was revving this thing to like 76. Probably wasn't making too much power up there, but it took the beating. Never one time did it jump timing or do anything fucking weird or anything like that, so that was good. This engine ran hard for me. It did everything I wanted it to do, and I'm thankful for it. But now it's getting boosted. So yeah, stock retainers, aftermarket valve springs, blocks, stage 1 I believe. We're gonna go ahead and take this camshaft out first, and then pull the head studs and pull the head off. Looking pretty clean, if I say so myself. All right, we're just gonna pull the nuts off the studs, and then pull off the washer, because there is a washer that goes with these. Pull them off, and then we can just lift the head up and set it right down over here. As you can see, some of them came with the washer off. So the only thing you do is take a magnet, work it back and forth until the washer comes up off. Boom. Take them all off. Alright, so I got the sensors off. I'm going to take the head. When I take it off, I'm going to pour some of the oil out in the oil drain pan, and then I'm going to set it up here, and then we can flip this thing over and get to the bottom end. While that's draining, I'm going to pull this head gasket off. Looks like my thing is stuck in here. Interesting. So on VTEC, there is one stud that is longer than the other. You can see these are all about the same height except for this back one. The back furthest one on the back side of the head, that is the tallest one, because the head is actually taller on that portion, so it needs a taller stud. I'm gonna go ahead and pull these out, get the head up here. We can examine the head, see what that looks like. You can obviously see there's a little bit of crustiness, but just, you know, burnt carbon. But they look like this rod and piston I can put in another short block and make the same Minime setup as I have here. I wouldn't even gap them or check anything. I would literally throw it in another motor, because everything looks pretty clean. I cleaned this before I put it together. I sent it to the machine shop. So honestly, if I were to just clean the outside, the inside is pretty good still, I would think. You can see the coolant passageways are super clean. And there's just some carbon built up on top. I'm probably running a little rich, but honestly, those could be cleaned up super easy. So I'm gonna pull these studs out real quick, get the setup here, and then we can flip it over. Very clean, look really good. No threads came out, and that's beautiful. We love to see it. Before I flip this thing over, I want to just give you guys a quick look at the combustion chamber. I don't remember exactly how many miles were on this motor when I pulled it from the car, but there was a lot of beating, a lot of racing, a lot of. And you can see it was running pretty clean. I mean, you can see there's parts on the valve that you can still see the stainless of the valve, bro. Like, that should show you how clean it was running. There might have been, I don't know if that's not oil. That's just burnt carbon. It turns white on the exhaust valves because they're extra hot, but the cylinder, the combustion chambers look fairly clean. Like, it all looks really good. Like, just maybe a hot tank of the head and this thing's ready to go. But I am going to be pulling the valves. The intake valves probably don't need much cleaning on the backside. They're probably pretty good, but the exhaust valves, they're going to need cleaned pretty well. So this head's going to come apart, but I just want to show you guys the combustion chamber before I flip it back over and put it up on the table. All right, we got the head up here. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the water pump, pull the timing gear off the crank, and then we can pull the oil pan. I gotta pull off the rear seal cover, and then we can flip it over, pull the pan, and then take the rods and pistons out and give them a look. All right, with a little heat and some finesse, it's finally fucking off. So that's great. These are one of the pieces that we're missing on Ty's car, but it's the opposite one. These sit like this. So there's this one is on the inside, it cups inward, and this one is on the outside towards the crank. It cups outward, and it keeps the belt still. We're missing that on Ty's car, so we're gonna have to find one of them. All right, let's get this baby turned over. Hopefully not too much shit comes out of it, and we start pulling the oil pan. Wee bit of coolant. A little bit of oil. Go ahead and pull these oil pan off. Go ahead and get this thing apart. You know what I'm saying? Looks good, looks clean. That's great. We're going to do a real quick and dirty inspection of the bearings. We're going to see how they look. The crank looks in great shape, so I'm gonna pop one of these out real quick, preferably the middle, because that might see the most wear. And as we see, there's definitely some wear, but it's not chewed through the plating, which is good. You know, I mean, I would think this isn't normal for a brand new motor, but for a motor just put together, you know, I measured the clearances, they were good, but it doesn't look horrible. I've seen worse, like a lot worse. I'm gonna pull out each one of the other bearings though and give them a look as well. This one is furthest from the oil pump. It doesn't look, I mean, it looks worn. Looks like it's bearings, right? Looks like it was beat the shit out of, because that's what I did to it. While they don't look fantastic, they all look even, and that's okay by me. The oil pump on this is actually an OEM pump, but I took a drill and bored it out, and then I bumped up the relief valve so it was higher PSI. But yeah, they're all looking about the same. Now this one being closest to the oil pump, you think it would look the best. I would say this one actually looks the worst, if you can see that. But I mean, they all look even, so I'm not complaining. Engine ran well. I didn't find any shavings in the oil, so that's good. I'm gonna go ahead and get 2 of these pistons out, and we can look at them and see what they look like. Well, that's confusing. Do you see that chunk missing right there? What the fuck is that? That wasn't like that when I put it together. Wow. Let's get this piston up. They all feel smooth. The bearings anyways, just, man, this thing, I don't know where the fuck that came from, or where it went even, or what the fuck was going on there. I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of these out and we can look at them. Alright, well, tearing it down, it doesn't look awful. It definitely doesn't look great. But the engine's been through some shit, so I'm not really too upset about it, because, you know, we go through them things. So, just looking at it, the thrust washers, they definitely look worn. They don't look horrible, but something that's bugging me is, like, something must have went through the motor or something, because I don't know if you can see that. There's a huge pit in the center there, and the tangs are just beat up, like super bad. And it's like that almost on every one of them. This one has a massive chunk gone. I don't know where it went. I didn't hear, there's no noise, obviously. It wasn't knocking, it didn't spin a bearing, but like, what is going on here? So, some shit must have went through here. This one actually, it was not too bad, but there's still some scoring there. And this one looked like garbage up there too. There's a little spot to the left of the oiling hole. The pistons look great though. There's very little wear on the skirts. I just cleaned them off, and this stuff up here would literally wipe off. So they're not bad. They're really in good condition. I would throw these in another motor just for shits and giggles, but it looks really good. Like, they're usually, I mean, depending on the mileage obviously, but this looks all right to me. Man, those bearings really look weird. Really look weird. Really do. The bearings on the main shaft weren't that bad. Even the ones that were on the engine side, they weren't really that bad. And the cylinder walls still look great. You can see the crosshatch on them. Probably not from this angle because there's not much light. Let me get my flashlight real quick. see, still looks pretty good. So I'm gonna have to take measurement of this so we can start getting this motor together. I was gonna send the block out to the machine shop so it can get cleaned. I'm contemplating doing that because I feel like maybe they didn't clean the oiling ports when I put it together last time, or something got in the oil, and that's what's causing that weird pitting that's on the bearings. But the crank looks fine. The journals look great. I know you can barely see it, but just trust me on that. They look good. There's no wear, there's no scratching, there's no gouging, nothing. So it looks good. We just gotta clean it up and get everything together, to be honest. So we may send this out to the machine shop. I probably will. I'm gonna talk with Carlos, see what he wants to do, and we can get this all like nice and toasty and clean, and then start putting it all together. These rods and pistons obviously are not going back in. We got the Vitara pistons with the Speed Factory no notch long rods, so be like 8.2 to 8.5 to 1 compression with the valves and stuff. So put that in there. We should be getting a Street Savage cam, so we're waiting on word for that, because obviously it's out of order. I mean, not out of order, but it's out of stock. But we may pre-order one. So yeah, it's a part. It looks good. It doesn't look awful, but it doesn't look great because of the bearing wear. So I'm gonna have to look into that. I think something might have went through the motor, honestly, but it is what it is. We're gonna take better care of it next time. When after we get it cleaned and we get it back from the machine shop, I'm gonna blow out every oil port, every oil hole, every hole, everything that's in there. Just blow it all out. Make sure there's no material in there. Be extra careful with the cleaning and make sure everything goes together super nice. We aren't in a great environment to build an engine, but I'm gonna cover the block and the crank in a trash bag so that it stays kind of airtight, so there's not really any dust. And I'm gonna cover all this stuff with tile, so we'll be nice and we'll be alright. But it's a part, man, and we're gonna get it together soon. So hope you guys stick around. I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.